Hello and welcome to a Fire to Fork actual cooking episode, brought to you by this beer. Today I'm going to do my ultimate steak and chips. Now, everyone's got their own little, idiosyncrasies of how they cook, and when thinking about this, about how to do this, I thought I want to do this the easiest way possible, but with the best result. So as in, there are ways you can do spuds that will make it that little maybe 5% better, but it takes literally a day. I'll run through them later on, but this method that I'm doing, I think, is the easiest. It's the best bang for your buck in terms of effort and flavour. So anyway, let's get into it. First, start with some just normal, I think it's chopped potatoes or something like that. Peel them. I don't need to do that in full time, so fast forward. So, now these are peeled. I'm going to just chop them up to, the size of chips. So, some people like fat, some people like skinny. I like a sort of a shoestring kind of thing. They will shrink a little bit, but not much. So I'm just going to chop these up. I'm not in a restaurant. I'm not going to try and make them have square ends and waste spud. I'm just going to try and make them, chip size. And, whatever, if they're all a bit different, that's fine. Okay, so potatoes are cut. Let's get these. And I've just grabbed some fresh, nice water from the stream, and I want to wash the starch off these and the breadboard in the process. So what I'm going to do is just give them a stir around there and just give them a nice rinse for, not too long, a few seconds. You'll see the water will go very slightly cloudy. Just going to drain this. Now this next bit's really important. Get a tea towel or a paper towel or whatever you want, and we're going to need to dry these. I'm just going to do these bit by bit. I think that's probably too many to dry. I'll just drench the tea towel. So you don't leave them in the sun, pad them dry. Okay, bunch of dry spuds all over the place. So, this is where things get a little bit unusual. This is where the technique comes into it, and this is how you get the best camp chips around, I reckon. Take your veggie oil, or rice bran oil. I usually use rice bran oil, but I went to the supermarket, and for some reason rice bran oil was really expensive at this country supermarket. So anyway, I went with vegetable oil. It's no massive difference. I'm going to put about 3 litres in here because I've got quite a lot of chips. And actually, I'm going to reuse this oil later on. I'm going to do fried chicken tonight. Very healthy day. About three litres. And I'm going to put my dry chips in the cold oil. Yeah. I know it's weird, but I'll explain the science in a second. So I've just gone to set up my little tripod over there on the fire, and I'll take you over there now. So, as you can see, I've got my little tripod set up here, and I'm going to put the cold oil and spuds. Flatten that out. Very graceful, Fred. Once it's level. Okay, level enough. I'm going to put my cold oil in there, nice bit of wood under there. And why am I using cold oil? Well, putting your chips in cold oil actually does a thing that's very similar to if you parboiled potatoes before, the warm oil will slowly cook the inside of potatoes, making them extra fluffy, and then as the oil gets hot, it will then brown them. So you get the fluffiness, which is what you usually get from parboiling, followed by the crisping, which is the hot oil. The great thing, there are a couple of great advantages to this. One, you get really, really tasty potatoes. Two, you don't need a thermometer to check what temperature that oil is before you usually dunk your potatoes in. You usually want to put them in at kind of 180. I don't know what temperature it is. I'll know when they're ready, when they're brown. And the final great advantage is safety. You're not dunking potatoes into boiling hot oil that can spit and catch fire and all that kind of stuff. So it's much safer doing it this way. Now, onto the good bit, steak. My mates at Rob's Craft Butchery in High Wycombe have hooked me up with this absolutely beautiful dry age. You can see it's got the sort of the darkness there. He's trimmed it back though. It's got no crusty bits. Beautiful dry aged ribeye. That there's a little tiny bit of sinew there. I'm just going to get rid of that. Fred, sit. Touch. Good boy. Hey, high five. High five. Good boy. But that, look at that, beautifully marbled, 5 weeks aged, 35 days, and oh, just looks incredible. And this is really simple. The hardest bit about this is getting the temperature right. So I always carry one of these little thermometers, which you just stick halfway in. Internal temperature now is 14 degrees because I've had it outside, out of the fridge for a while. So let's get this into the Osprey. So I'll quickly set up the Osprey and we'll get it on. This is an Osprey camp rye, and if you want to get one, there's a link in the description below. And what it does is it sits. There you go. Get my wood sorted out. Sits in your fire like this. And there I have the levels for my grill. So you can also hang on the front, which I'll do something else with some other stage. But anyway, yeah, that's what I'm going to do the steak in. So it's got thickness adjustments here, so it can go into different points. This is a thick steak, it's going to go on the thickest one. Now, to start off, I want this steak to cook slowly. This is what's called a reverse sear. So instead of searing it straight up, I'm going to cook it through nicely on a low heat until the internal temperature, I'm hoping to get the internal temperature to about maybe 35 or 40 degrees before I put some serious heat onto it and sear it. And what my end internal temperature is going to be is about 50 degrees when I pull it off. Now, with a dry aged steak like this, you actually cook it a bit slower, you cook it a little bit less than what you ordinarily would. So if you like a medium rare steak, cook your dry aged to rare, because it's almost like because it's sort of, the aging process almost cooks it to an extent. It's kind of hard to describe, but it takes a lot of that moisture out. It's not saying they're dry by any stretch of the imagination, but there's you just need to cook it a little bit less. They're not you just need to cook it less. Spuds have already started to boil. My oil's boiling, so I'm actually going to pull a little bit of the heat out because I don't want to cook them too fast. But yeah, that didn't take long at all. That was probably maybe 10 minutes, and they're boiling properly. You'll know when they're done, when they're brown and they're floating. So they've got one starting to float, but there's still a little bit longer to go. I'll take the lid off and let that moisture out, let any water in there out. All right, I walked off for a few minutes. I've moved the Osprey somewhere hotter. I walked off for a few minutes, and it started getting a bit blowy and heat's pumped up a bit. So it's actually got a bit of a crust on it already. That's okay, nothing wrong with that. So I'm just gonna check the internal temp. Still 21, so it's still cold in there. 32, no, 24-ish. So I'll keep that on a nice low heat right on top. Oh, it's not quite level. Okay, we are nearly done. That fire got a little bit hot there again, but these chips are, oh, they're so close. I just added a little bit more wood here to crank them up a little bit. They're, I reckon they've got 5 minutes max. This beautiful bit of meat is looking incredible. Internal temp, what's that? 40? Okay. 41, 43. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm slowly pushing it through to try and get a reading of how well cooked it is everywhere. Because if the edge was, say, 70, then the edge would be overcooked. But this feels like it's pretty well. I mean, it's, 51 is perfect. The middle's 39, 40. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to rest that. So I might put it up there for 2 minutes, then I'll take it off. Now, just checked this a second ago. Oh, it's a little bit too much. In the middle it's okay. Oh, hopefully it's not ruined. We'll see. I'm going to go and put this on the breadboard and let it cool down. Oh, yeah, it is slightly overdone. Damn! Alright, nearly ultimate. Now you notice I haven't put any salt on it. That's because it actually pulls the moisture out of it a bit. So if you look at that, it's still a bit, it's got a bit of pink in the middle, which is great. Now see, I've got this big baggie which says "Def's not drugs," because it kind of looks dodgy. That's nice big rock salt. Lots of pepper. I'll serve that with a little bit of mustard, I think. Let's get my chips. Okay, look at that. So you can't see it, but I can. You're about to though. Got one of these, a couple of bucks from the supermarket. They are light, airy, fluffy inside, crispy brown chips. Now we're going to give a similar treatment to these chips. Nice bit of salt, bit of pepper. Then I get a little bit fancy. I like to put a little bit of grated parmesan in there. And they're still hot. And then, get even more fancy, a bit of parsley. Oh, that's magnetic. Toss that all together, and that, as far as I'm concerned, is the ultimate steak and chips in the bush. Oh, okay, I'm gonna try this. A little bit of steak, a little bit of chip, parmesan, oh, bit of mustard. Oh. See if I can actually keep this on my fork. Get in my belly. That's so good. That is so good. The mustard actually makes it. Anyway, if you want to see more meals like this, cooked in the bush, please jump down, hit subscribe and like this video. And tell me what you want to see next. I know what I'm doing next, but I want to see what you want me to cook next. The ultimate camp version. Anyway, I'm going to get into this. Oh, it's so good.